Hey, Coach Damon, and today we're talking about three underrated ways to lose weight. I do these a lot with my clients, and a lot of people don't think of them. So we're going to cover those today. Give you three quick tips. They're really underrated. People just discount them a lot of the time. So let's get right into it. So the first one that people don't use is steps. They just don't consider it an option. They go right to diet, they go right to the workout, whether it's cardio specific, strength training, whatever. Those things are going to apply, of course, but even before that, if you actually just take an inventory of your step count, it can make a huge difference in your goal of weight loss. So let me talk about that give you a couple examples. So like you have to find out where you're starting. So obviously when we talk about steps, everyone's probably by now heard, hey, 10,000 steps, get 10,000 steps a day. It's a great way to do it. And that's a good measurement, good range or whatever, but I don't think that's where you have to start. It really depends on where you're currently starting with your plan. And I've done this with clients before where I've said, well, how much do you move in a day? And usually, sometimes it turns out like they're just not moving at all. They have a sedentary job, they're not working out. This isn't their lifestyle, so which is fine. So what we do is we figure that out. What's their baseline, and they track it and they figure out, oh my God, I'm only getting like 2,000, 2,500 steps a day. Great. Well, if a person's only doing 2,500 steps a day, I'm not going to jump them to 10,000 steps. That's going to wreck them. It's just too much, too big of a jump. But at least we have that baseline, and now I have some place to go. So maybe we set a goal of 4,500 steps. Start there, 5,000. We work it up is the point. But so ultimately, the point that I'm getting at there is you need to figure out, where are you starting from? How many steps are you going to do? How much movement are you doing in a day? Because steps, the goal, or not the goal, but the point of it from a weight loss standpoint is just getting you to actually have non-exercise activity, thermogenesis calories being burned. So you're just burning more calories just by moving. It's just by overall general movement throughout the day. If you're burning more calories throughout the day, it's going to help keep a deficit that you're trying to create to lose fat. So steps is a great way to do that. I've had clients come to me with weight loss, looking for weight loss goals. We work a plan. They don't have a ton of time, but they can get steps in. We get them on a correct nutrition plan, and we work just steps. We don't even do cardio sometimes. I'm not saying that cardio doesn't have its place and I don't use it. I certainly do. But I've seen clients just do that with steps and nutrition before. It's a great place to start, and steps are very underrated. So if you're not counting steps, you're not paying attention, at least paying attention to them, highly recommend that right now. Just start doing that today, and you'll see a huge difference if your goal is weight loss. The second thing we want to look at, especially when it comes to a weight loss plan, is logging food. People, again, it's just one of these things that people underestimate, or they don't think it's necessary. They don't think they need to. They don't think it's important. And there's several reasons why you should. But the first thing, this isn't like me saying this. This isn't other coaches or influencers saying log your food or anything like that. There's actually studies. They've actually done these in controlled studies from weight loss plans to see, does logging food work? And there's multiple studies to show that people that log their food and know what their intake is versus those who just are winging it get better results. It's just a fact. So, and what they found in those studies, which was pretty eye-opening, is the fact that most people, especially people that are overweight, underestimate their calories by up to 50%, which is a huge number of calories if you're trying to lose weight. And even people that are at their ideal weight underestimate their calories as well by 20%, up to 20%. So you can see the discrepancy right there when it comes to calories. So that we all, every single one of us, underestimates what we consume. So if you're looking to lose weight, having a handle on that, the only way to have a handle on that is to actually track it as to what am I doing. So, and years ago, before all the different apps and stuff where you just had to write your food down, which was fine, but you're just writing it down, and then you had to calculate, if you had whatever your amounts were, if you had a cup of this, how many calories was it? Well, I mean, you have all of these apps today where you can just log your food on the apps. MyFitnessPal is a good one. My clients use a different app. But there's tons of them. Whatever works for you, pick one. Most of them are free, and all you do, and you don't have to do it forever. But if you're trying to lose weight and you want to get a handle on it, logging your food is a great way to see how much you're consuming, because you have to, bottom line is you need to know how much you need to take in to create a deficit to lose weight. That's just a fact. Everybody knows that. But when you figure out that number, using round numbers, let's just say, hey, in order for me to, or you to lose weight, whatever it is a round number of 2,000 calories. Well, the only way to know if you're consuming 2,000 calories is to track it. So if you track it at least for, 3 days, a week, whatever, and you can get a handle on what 2,000 calories actually feels like, you're actually going to have a much better success rate of losing weight, because you're actually staying within that parameters, versus if you're just winging it and you don't know. A lot of times, many people coming back to the studies that say, hey, I don't eat a lot. Well, actually they do. I just had a client recently, this exact thing happened. I had her start logging her food, tracking her food, and there was just a ton of unaccounted for calories that actually bumped her calories up quite high. And it really wasn't anything that was satisfying or anything like that. But when we were able to manipulate that, she was able to still consume a decent amount of calories to actually create a deficit and lose weight, just by kind of getting some empty calories, so to speak, out of the way. But she wasn't accounting for those. So, and they did count. So just things like that. That's just one example of how you can actually use logging food to figure it out and help to stay on your plan in a deficit and actually lose weight. And it's one of those things that, again, people discount it, and I highly recommend that you don't if you're looking to lose weight. And the last one, again, this is something that is, people will discount this as well. People will, or actually I wouldn't say discount this as much as they just don't want to do it. And it comes down to, and what it is meal prep. And people are like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to I'm too busy. I don't have time, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Well, first off, you can find the time. I promise you can. And one of the reasons for that is that people think meal prep takes forever. It doesn't. It's not that long, and we'll talk about it in a second. But so what when it comes to meal prep, first off, you don't even have to, if you want to actually use a meal service, that's meal prep. You can do that if you want to. And there's tons of good ones out there that are actually, can fit your, whatever plan it is. It's quality food. It's not junk, anything like that. There's plenty of them. Look them up and you can do that. So that's a simple way to meal prep if you want, depending on your budget and if it works for you, whatever. So that's one option. The second option, which most of my clients do, is they make their own food. And all that usually comes down to is taking probably anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes once to twice a week. Typically one day on the weekend is probably like a Sunday or Saturday or something like that, when they have time to just say, okay, what are my meals that I need to prepare for my week that I won't have access to? This is a little bit different for people that, with all the remote work today. Some people work from home. They don't have to meal prep as much because they can just go into the kitchen and take care of it. For those people that are still busy out on the road, going to a physical location for work, this obviously is going to apply. And it's just taking the time to what do I need? So obviously lunches are typically the big thing that needs to be prepared. Snacks are another thing, healthy snacks, depending on how your nutrition plan, what it looks like. Are you eating 3 times a day? And that means that breakfast is at home and dinner is at home, no problem. So you have to meal prep for just lunch. Or is it something that, even though dinner is at home, you have kids, you're super busy, there's kids sports, etc., whatever it may be at night. So is it better to have dinner meal prepped as well? So there's a lot of different ways you can do that. But obviously batch cooking, so when it's, cooking larger amounts of food is the way to do this. And then obviously put it into some type of Tupperware or whatever that you have available. And this is, it's not as hard as people think. Really what it comes down to is actually just taking the time. Again, 30 to 60 minutes to do it. If it's taking you, if you say, oh, I just took, I meal prepped and it was all afternoon on Sunday, you're not doing it right. You're complicating it. You're getting too fancy. Keep it simple. That's one thing about, especially when you're trying to follow a nutrition plan. And this is a different topic for a different day, but keep it simple. Most people generally eat the same foods, and if you can figure out what those foods are and just put them in their right proportion, right calories, right protein that you need for your goal, you're gonna be fine. So Those three things are the big underrated things that I see people don't take advantage of. You know, tracking your steps, you know, logging your food, and then meal prep. Those three things, you don't even have to be, if you're looking to lose weight, if you just start with those three things, if you have a handle on, okay, how many calories do I need to have to reach my goal, and you log those, and you just start moving more and tracking that through steps. And then to help you stay on these two is like by meal prep for your food. I guarantee you'll see results. And lastly, a little tip to that would be stay consistent. As long as you're consistent with this stuff, you're going to see results. Most people will, do it for 3 days. They didn't lose 10 pounds, they quit. It's just not realistic. You need to see this through. So those are my 3 tips, or 3 underrated tools that people don't take advantage of when trying to lose weight. Hope it helped. Talk to you soon.